Everlasting Bass was the song that was the inspiration that just set off a movement right now that got the West Coast just really reignited. The music business as a whole is reignited.
Ever wonder what happened to those rappers from the 80s who had that one giant song on the radio? Their stories are crazier than you could ever imagine. We're counting down 20 of these lost tracks, and wait until you hear about the group that made a sci-fi hit and then completely disappeared, almost as if they were beamed right up. 1. Rodney O and Joe Cooley, Everlasting Bass. Long before Los Angeles was known for gangster rap, a different sound ruled the streets. It was all about the bass, and the kings of that sound were Rodney O and Joe Cooley. In 1988, they dropped Everlasting Bass, and to put it mildly, it changed everything for West Coast hip-hop. You see, this wasn't just a song, it was a sonic earthquake. Joe Cooley's scratches were lightning fast, and the beat, built around a thundering 808 drum machine, was designed to push car stereos to their absolute limit. It was so low and loud that you could feel it in your bones from a block away. What many people overlooked is how huge this track was without any major help. It was released on an independent label, which means they didn't have the big money of a major record company. Despite that, Everlasting Bass sold hundreds of thousands of copies, a truly massive number for an indie release back then. It became the blueprint for the West Coast sound, influencing the Miami bass scene and future superstar producers. The track was a monster hit, but Rodney O and Joe Cooley never quite reached that same level of national fame again. They remained local legends, the godfathers of a sound that took over the world. Their bass-heavy anthem was made for cars with giant speakers, but our next track was a bop made for the dance floor, delivered by an underrated female voice from the East Coast who had all the skills to be a star. 2. Sweet Tea, It's Like That Y'all. Over on the other side of the country, in the hip-hop hotspot of Queens, New York, a woman named Sweet Tea was making some serious noise. In 1987, she released It's Like That Y'all, a track that is pure, uncut fun. With a super catchy beat and a confident, playful flow, Sweet Tea proved she could hang with the best of them. The song was an instant classic in the clubs and on the radio. It's one of those tracks that just makes you want to move. The energy is infectious, and her rhymes are sharp and clever. The secret weapon behind the song was its producer, a man named Herbie Love Bug Azor. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he was the genius behind the mega-successful group Salt and Peppa. He gave It's Like That Y'all the same radio-friendly shine that made his other projects into hits. With that kind of talent behind her, everyone thought Sweet Tea was destined for stardom. But not all things are what they seem. Despite the success of the single, a full album never appeared. She released a few more tracks, but none captured the magic of her first hit. She remains one of hip-hop's great what-if stories. Sweet Tea's track was fun and upbeat, a party starter for sure. But the next artist on our list came with a much more serious message and a voice so deep it could command an army. 3. King Sun, Hey Love. While some artists were making party tracks, a rapper from the Bronx named King Sun was carving out a different path. He had a deep, powerful voice and a commanding presence on the mic that made you stop and listen. His big moment came in 1988 with the song Hey Love. This wasn't just another rap song, it was a smooth, heartfelt story about relationships, and it connected with a huge audience. The track, with its catchy R&B sample, was a massive hit on radio stations across the country. It was one of the first rap songs to blend tough, street-smart lyrics with a softer, more romantic theme. The thing nobody tells you is that King Sun was more than just a one-hit wonder. He was a part of a movement of rappers with more conscious and militant messages. He often wore African-inspired clothing and rapped about Black history and pride. Hey Love was his way into the mainstream, but his other tracks were much deeper and more political. What many overlooked is that his album XL was full of powerful songs. However, Hey Love became so big that it overshadowed the rest of his work. He was a talented artist with a lot to say, but for most of the world, he is remembered for this one smooth classic. King's son used his voice to tell stories. The next artist on our list was a legend who barely used her voice at all, instead letting her hands do all the talking on the turntables. 4. Jazzy Joyce. It's My Beat. Before there were superstar producers, there were superstar DJs. And in the world of 80s hip-hop, few were as respected as Jazzy Joyce. She was a pioneering woman in a scene dominated by men, known for her incredible skills on the turntables. In 1986, she teamed up with another artist from our list, Sweet Tea, for a track called It's My Beat. This song was a showcase for Joyce's talent. It was raw, energetic, and built around a hypnotizing beat that let the DJ be the star. Sweet Tea provides the rhymes, but the whole point of the song is to celebrate the person controlling the records. The wild part is how rare this track was. It wasn't a massive radio hit, but it was a huge record in the underground and for people who were serious about hip-hop culture. Finding an original vinyl copy of It's My Beat today is like finding a hidden treasure. Jazzy Joyce was a true trailblazer, a DJ's DJ who competed in battles and earned the respect of everyone in the scene. While she continued to be a legendary DJ for decades, she never chased a career as a recording artist. This one track remains a powerful reminder of a time when the DJ was the most important person in the room. Joyce and T were from New York, the undisputed center of the hip-hop universe back then. But our next group came from another city, proving that amazing hip-hop could come from anywhere, even if it was just for one shining moment. 5. Divine Sounds. What People Do for Money. New York City may have been the birthplace of hip-hop, but other cities were starting to make their mark. Down in Philadelphia, a crew called the Divine Sounds was cooking up their own flavor. In 1984, they released their only major single, What People Do for Money. The song was a piece of social commentary, telling stories about the crazy and sometimes desperate things people do to get by. It had a funky, catchy beat and a memorable hook that made it stand out. The group's style was unique, blending classic old-school rhymes with a slightly darker, more serious message about life in the city. This track is a perfect snapshot of its time. It shows how hip-hop was growing up and starting to talk about more than just parties and boasting. The Divine Sounds were telling real stories about the world around them. The song got some attention and is still remembered by old-school fans as a classic from the Philly scene. But you see, the group itself seemed to vanish after this one release. They never put out a full album or another single that made a similar impact. They were a flash of brilliance from the city of brotherly love, a reminder that great stories were being told in every corner of the country. The Divine Sounds used their one shot to tell a serious story. Our next group also had just one big hit, but their story is wild because of who was secretly a member before he became one of the most famous people in music. 6. Original concept, Pump That Bass, Can You Feel It? Some stories in music history are so strange they are hard to believe. The story of the group Original Concept is one of them. In 1986, they dropped a double-sided single that became an anthem for b-boys and DJs everywhere. Pump That Bass, Can You Feel It? These tracks were all about the beat. They were made for dancing with heavy drum machines and hyped-up vocal samples that were perfect for the clubs. The songs were raw, energetic, and perfectly captured the sound of the mid-'80s. But here is the kicker. Original Concept was part of the legendary Juice Crew, a collective of rappers from Queens that included some of the biggest names in history. And one of the members of this group was a man named Dr. Dre. Now, hold on. This wasn't that Dr. Dre from the West Coast. This was the Dr. Dre, who would later become famous as the co-host of the hugely popular TV show Yo MTV Raps. It's a wow factor that one of the first faces of hip-hop on television was part of a group with a classic one-hit wonder. The group released one album, but it never took off, and Dr. Dre went on to find fame in a completely different way. Original Concept's hit was a powerful blast of new energy. But our next artist was an old-school legend trying to make a comeback, earning him a new title, but not a new career. 7. Spoonie G, the godfather of rap. Before rap was even called hip-hop, there was Spoonie G. He was one of the very first solo rappers to ever record a song, a true pioneer from the earliest days of the culture. Many people call him one of the originators of storytelling in rap. By the late 80s, however, the sound of hip-hop had changed dramatically, and many of the old-school pioneers were being forgotten. In 1987, Spoonie G attempted a major comeback. He released a new album and a single that gave him a brand new nickname, the Godfather of Rap. The song was a bold statement, an attempt to reclaim his place in the world of music he helped create. It was a solid track, but the thing nobody tells you is that the rap game had moved on. The beats were different, the flows were faster, and a new generation of stars was taking over. His comeback album didn't sell well, and the Godfather title, while respected by those who knew their history, didn't translate into new hits. Spoonie G's story is a tough one. He was a true innovator who laid the groundwork for countless others, but his one big comeback attempt ended up being his last major mark on the charts. Spoonie G was a solo pioneer, but our next group showed the power of a crew. They were one of the first rap groups to get a major record deal, and their hit was a bridge from the old school to the new. 8. The Fearless Four, Rockin' It. In the early 80s, being a rap group on a major record label was almost unheard of. Most hip-hop was still on small, independent labels. But the Fearless Four broke through that wall. They were a crew from Harlem who were known for their high-energy live shows and impressive rap routines. In 1982, they signed a deal and released the song Rockin' It, and it was a game-changer. The track was 8 minutes of pure energy, featuring the members trading rhymes back and forth with incredible speed and skill. What many overlooked is how forward-thinking this song was. It combined the fun, party-rocking vibe of old-school hip-hop with a faster, more complex rhyming style that pointed toward the future. It was one of those records that every DJ had to have and every b-boy crew danced to. The Fearless Four were on top of the world for a moment. They had a few other underground hits, but Rockin' It was their masterpiece. They were true innovators, but like many early groups, they struggled to keep up as the sound of hip-hop continued to evolve at lightning speed. They left behind a classic that showed the world the power of a rap crew. The Fearless Four helped get hip-hop on major labels. But our next track is maybe the most important one-hit in history, as it was the very first song ever released by the most legendary rap label of all time. 9. T. La Rock, It's Yours. Every giant company has a beginning. For the iconic record label Def Jam Recordings, a label that would later bring us LL Cool J, the Beastie Boys, and Public Enemy, it all started with one song. In 1984, two guys named Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons released their very first single, catalog number DJ01. That record was It's Yours by a rapper named T. La Rock. The track was revolutionary. Produced by Rick Rubin in his college dorm room, it had a hard, stripped-down beat made with a powerful drum machine, a sound that was much tougher than anything else out at the time. T. La Rock's commanding voice and complex rhymes were the perfect match for the futuristic beat. The song became a massive underground hit in New York City, a secret weapon for influential DJs. It basically announced that a new sound and a new era for hip-hop had arrived. But here's the wild part. Even though It's Yours was the song that literally started the Def Jam empire, Tila Rock never signed with the label. He went on to release music on other labels, but he never had another hit as big or as important as his first. It's an incredible piece of history. The man who kicked off a musical dynasty became one of its first forgotten heroes. It's Yours showed how hip-hop was blending with new electronic sounds. The next track on our list comes from a band that wasn't even a hip-hop group, but they created a rap remix that took over the clubs. 10. The System. You Are in My System. Sometimes the most interesting things happen when different worlds of music collide. The System was not a rap group. They were a very talented duo known for their slick, futuristic funk and R&B music, a style often called electro-funk. In 1983, their song You Are in My System was a hit. But then they did something unusual. They released a special rap version of the track. This version took the song's amazing electronic beat and added rhymes over it, creating a perfect hybrid of funk, soul, and hip-hop. This wasn't just some cheap cash-in. The members of the System were serious musicians and producers who had worked with huge stars. They understood the power of a great beat, and their electronic soundscapes were a perfect fit for the emerging world of hip-hop. The rap remix became a huge hit in dance clubs, loved by both R&B fans and hip-hop heads. The thing nobody tells you is that tracks like this were super important for spreading the sound of hip-hop. They showed that rap could be blended with other popular genres, helping it reach a whole new audience. The System went on to have other hits, but this one rap remix remains a forgotten classic of early genre blending. The System were funk masters who dipped their toes into rap. Our next artist was a hip-hop master who built his entire sound around a futuristic funk beat, creating a word that would define an era. 11. Mantronics. Fresh is the word. In the mid-'80s, one word was on everyone's lips: fresh. And in 1985, the group Mantronics made it their anthem with the track Fresh is the Word. The group was made up of rapper MCT and a producer who would become a legend, Curtis Mantronic. Mantronic was a genius with a drum machine. He could program beats that sounded like they were from another planet. Fresh is the Word was his masterpiece. The beat is a stunning mix of booming, bass, crisp snares, and weird electronic sounds that still sounds futuristic today. This track was a huge deal in the world of electro-funk, a style of hip-hop that was all about electronic sounds and danceable rhythms. Curtis Mantronic's production style was so unique and influential that it changed the game. Many producers tried to copy his sound, but no one could do it quite like him. Mantronics did have other popular songs, but Fresh is the Word was their defining statement. It was the track that put them on the map and made Curtis Mantronic a hero to producers everywhere. To put it mildly, his work on this track helped build a bridge between hip-hop and the dance music that would come later. Mantronic's beat sounded like it came from a spaceship. The next group on our list also had a futuristic sound, but they added a quirky, high-pitched vocal that made their song impossible to forget. 12. Nucleus, Jam on It. If you were around in 1984, you definitely heard this song. A super high-pitched voice saying, "Wiki, wiki, wiki, wiki" comes in, and then a killer electronic beat drops. That song is Jam on It by the group Nucleus, and it was an absolute monster of a hit. The group came from a block party collective in Brooklyn, New York, and they had a sound that was all their own. It was a playful, sci-fi themed brand of electro hip-hop that was perfect for breakdancing. In fact, Jam on It became one of the biggest breakdancing anthems of all time. The members of Nucleus had a whole backstory for their group, involving characters from outer space. This fun, creative approach made their music stand out. The high-pitched voices on the track were actually the group members pitching up their vocals in the studio, creating a unique sound that people called the chipmunk voice. The song was everywhere, on the radio, in the movies, and at every party. Nucleus had another hit called Jam on Revenge, the Wiki Wiki song, but Jam on It is the one that has truly lasted. It's a pure blast of 80s fun and a reminder of hip-hop's quirky, creative roots. The vocals on Jam on It were out of this world. Our next track has no vocals at all, but its mysterious, powerful beat became a secret language for dancers around the globe. 13. Hashim, Al-Nafish, The Soul. Sometimes a song doesn't need any words to change the world. In 1983, a producer from New York named Hashim released an instrumental track called Al-Nafish. The title is an Arabic phrase that means the soul, and that's exactly what this song had. It was a dark, powerful, and relentless piece of electro music. The beat is driving and hypnotic, with a bass line that sounds like it's marching into battle. There are no rappers, no singers, just one of the toughest beats ever created. Al-Nafish became a global anthem for b-boys. This was the song you put on to prove you had the best moves. Its raw energy was the perfect soundtrack for serious dance battles. The thing nobody tells you is that this track crossed over everywhere. It was played in hip-hop clubs, techno clubs, and parties all over the world. It's one of the most important and influential tracks in the history of electronic music. Hashim, the man behind the beat, was a private person who mostly stayed behind the scenes. He created a timeless masterpiece, a song with no lyrics that spoke to everyone. Hashim's instrumental was a crossover hit. Our next track was also a massive crossover, coming from a huge funk band that created a robotic smash hit that brought hip-hop flavor to the pop charts. 14. Midnight Star, Freakazoid. Midnight Star was not a one-hit wonder. They were a huge, successful funk and R&B band with a string of hits. But in 1983, they released a song that was different. It was called Freakazoid, and it was their one big entry into the world of electro and hip-hop. The song is built around a funky synth bass line and features a robotic voice, created with a vocoder, talking about a robot who loves to dance. It sounded like something straight out of a science fiction movie. The track was a smash hit, reaching the top of the R&B charts and becoming a huge pop crossover success. What many overlooked is how much this song was embraced by the hip-hop community. Its futuristic electronic vibe and heavy beat made it a favorite for DJs and dancers. It was a perfect example of how the lines between funk, R&B, and hip-hop were blurring in the early 80s. Everyone was experimenting with drum machines and synthesizers, and Freakazoid was one of the most fun and creative results of that experimentation. While Midnight Star had many other great songs, this one robotic jam is their most remembered contribution to the electro-funk sound. The robotic theme of Freakazoid was fun and futuristic. Our next group took that sci-fi idea even further, creating a hit with the help of the same producers who made an all-time hip-hop classic. 15. Planet Patrol, Play at Your Own Risk. In 1982, the song Planet Rock by Afrika Bambaataa changed music forever. It was a revolutionary blend of hip-hop beats and electronic melodies from the German band Kraftwerk. The producers behind that masterpiece were a team named Arthur Baker and John Roby. Right after they made history with Planet Rock, they used a similar formula to create another hit for a group called Planet Patrol. That song was Play at Your Own Risk. It had the same space-age, futuristic feel as Planet Rock, with soulful singing layered over a classic electro beat. Planet Patrol was actually a group of R&B singers, but Baker and Roby transformed them into electro-funk pioneers. Play at Your Own Risk was a huge club hit, a smoother, more romantic take on the sound they had just invented. It was sci-fi hip-hop you could slow dance to. You see, the success of this track proved that Planet Rock wasn't a fluke. This new sound, this blend of American funk and European electronica, was here to stay. Planet Patrol had a few other songs, but they never quite escaped the massive shadow of their first hit. They remain a key part of the Planet Rock story. Planet Patrol used a proven formula to make their sci-fi hit. Our next group also aimed for the future, with a name and a sound that promised a whole new kind of funk. 16. Warp 9. Nunk, New Wave Funk. What do you get when you mix new wave music, funk, and hip-hop? You get nunk. In 1982, a group called Warp 9 released this track, and its title was short for New Wave Funk. They were trying to create a sound for the future, and they absolutely succeeded. The track is a wild ride of synthesizers, electronic drums, and call-and-response rhymes that feel both retro and futuristic at the same time. It was a perfect example of a style called Afrofuturism, which blended science fiction themes with black music and culture. Warp 9 was a studio project led by a visionary producer. They created a whole universe around their music, with songs about outer space, aliens, and technology. Nunk was their first and biggest statement. What many people forget is just how strange and creative this music was for its time. It didn't sound like anything else on the radio. The group also had another influential track called Light Years Away, but Nunk was the one that first introduced the world to their unique vision of funk from the future. They were true innovators whose one-of-a-kind sound was probably a little too ahead of its time to stick around. Warp 9 was all about futuristic party music. Our next track comes from one of the biggest names in hip-hop history, but it's a fun, simple party track that has been almost completely forgotten. 17. Grandmaster Flash, The Birthday Party. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five are Mount Rushmore-level legends of hip-hop. They gave the world The Message, one of the most important and powerful songs of all time. But before they were making serious social commentary, they were making party music. And one of their earliest and most forgotten tracks is a simple, fun song from 1980 called The Birthday Party. The song is exactly what the title says it is, a party track designed to celebrate someone's birthday. It's got a funky bass line and lighthearted rhymes about cake, presents, and having a good time. The thing nobody tells you is that for a legendary group known for their incredible DJ skills and serious lyrics, a song like this feels almost like a novelty. It's a fun, upbeat jam, but it's a world away from the groundbreaking work they would do just a couple of years later. It shows a different, more lighthearted side of the group before they became the musical conscience of the streets. Because The Message and White Lines became so massive and iconic, their early party tracks like The Birthday Party have fallen through the cracks of history. It's a forgotten jam from a group that is impossible to forget. That was a forgotten party track from a legendary crew. Our next song comes from another legendary crew, and it showcased a fast-rapping style that would influence generations of rappers to come. 18. The Treacherous Three, Feel the Heartbeat. Long before he was a solo superstar with gold chains and a string of hits, Kool Moe Dee was a member of a groundbreaking hip-hop group called The Treacherous Three. Along with his partners L.A. Sunshine and Special K, they were famous for their lightning-fast rap style. In 1981, they released Feel the Heartbeat, a song that perfectly captured their incredible energy. The track is built on a sample from a popular dance song, but the real stars are the rappers. They trade rhymes back and forth at a dizzying speed, a style that was way ahead of its time. To put it mildly, this song was hugely influential. It showed that rappers could be lyrical athletes, delivering complex rhymes at high speed without missing a beat. Many of the rappers who became stars in the mid and late 80s were influenced by the Treacherous Three's fast rapping style. But you see, as Kool Moe Dee's solo career took off, The legacy of his original group began to fade into the background. Feel the Heartbeat is a classic, a vital piece of hip-hop history that showcased a style that would change the art of rapping forever. But it remains a deep cut known mostly to serious fans. The Treacherous Three used a clever sample to make their hit. Our next group also built their famous track around a very famous sample, one that would become one of the most used break beats in history. 19. Crash Crew, Breaking Bells, Take Me to the Mardi Gras. In the world of hip-hop, some drum breaks are so good they become legendary. They get sampled over and over again by countless producers. One of the most famous is the drum intro from the Bob James song, Take Me to the Mardi Gras. In 1982, a group from Harlem called the Crash Crew took that iconic drum break and built an entire song around it. That song was Breaking Bells. The track is a classic piece of early 80s hip-hop, full of energetic rhymes and the unmistakable sound of that famous bell and drum pattern. The Crash Crew was one of the key groups on the legendary Sugar Hill Records, the same label that released Rapper's Delight. Breaking Bells was one of their signature songs, a b-boy anthem that captured the raw energy of the early hip-hop scene in New York. The title itself was a nod to the breakdancers, the b-boys, who would go crazy whenever the DJ threw on a record with a great drum break. The song was a hit in its time, but what many overlooked is that the crew's legacy has been somewhat overshadowed by the massive fame of the sample they used. They were a talented group that made a classic, but the beat they rhymed over became an even bigger star. The Crash Crew made a hit for the b-boys. Our final track on the list is another classic party jam, a feel-good track that was all about getting people on the dance floor before fading away. 20. Disco 4, Do It, Do It. As the 1970s turned into the 1980s, the line between disco and the brand new sound of rap music was very blurry. A lot of the first rap records were basically rappers rhyming over popular disco tracks. A group that perfectly captured this moment in time was the Disco 4. Hailing from Harlem, they released a song in 1980 called Do It, Do It. The track is pure party-starting energy. It has a funky, disco-infused bass line and simple, catchy rhymes designed to get the whole crowd involved. This was music made for the block party and the local dance hall. It wasn't trying to be deep or revolutionary. It was all about having a good time. The Disco 4 were part of that very first wave of recorded rap artists, putting the sound of their neighborhood parties on vinyl for the world to hear. Do It, Do It is a perfect time capsule of this early era. It's fun, it's upbeat, and it captures the pure joy that was at the heart of hip-hop from the very beginning. But as the sound of hip-hop quickly evolved, becoming tougher and more complex, the happy disco rap sound of groups like the Disco 4 was left behind, making their hits fun but forgotten relics of a bygone era.